everyone, I'm Renee and welcome to my channel. For today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made this adorable Shopkins cake. I saw this Lil Globe character and thought she would be perfect for Earth Day. Before we get started with today's tutorial, I want to take a moment to thank Green Solar Technologies for sponsoring today's Earth Day video. I was excited to partner with Green Solar Technologies today because of my own experience with solar installation. We installed our array on our 5-bedroom home last year and it's the best decision we could have made. Even here in New Hampshire, where we don't get the best sunlight, it completely wiped out our electric bill. And besides the great financial benefits, renewable energy solutions are important for the environment and the health of our planet. If you're interested in solar energy for your home, check out Green Solar Technologies at the link below. They service the continental US and right now are offering a $500 cashback incentive to my viewers. Use the code Renee5Solar. Again, a big thank you to Green Solar Technologies for partnering with me today. Now let's get on with our Earth Day Shopkins tutorial. This Shopkins cake is a 2-tier cake, the top tier being the Lil Globe character. And to make that cake, I used the Wilton sports ball pan. I'll have that linked below, but it makes a 6-inch sphere. I baked off the 2 halves using my vanilla cake recipe, which I'll have linked for you, and then leveled off both halves. You also need to make a flat surface on one of the cakes so that this cake has somewhere to rest on. And I made a very small cake board by just cutting a small circle to about the size of the cake I trimmed. Use a little bit of buttercream to attach that right to the bottom of that cake. Add some buttercream filling. This is my American style buttercream because it's going to be nice and sturdy for this sphere. Add the second half of the sphere and then I'm going to crumb coat this and let this chill because it's going to be nice and cold and firm and easier to work with. Once the cake has had time to chill, I'm going to add a final coating of buttercream, and this buttercream is tinted a sky blue. It's nice and bright and colorful for our Lil Globe character. Once the whole cake is iced, go ahead and smooth it. Next we'll work on the eyes for the Lil Globe character. So all I did was roll out some white fondant and I cut it out using actually the wide end of one of my Russian tips. It's a nice big circle and it was the only one that was the size I needed. Then I also rolled out some pink fondant. This is colored like a raspberry pink. Roll it out fairly thin so we don't end up with too much bulk on these eyes. Cut it out using the same size circle as you did for the white part. And then you want to trim off a little bit of it so that we'll have a little bit of that white poking through. Next, I rolled out some black fondant, also very thin, and this time I used the end of a 1M tip to cut out my black circles, and this was the perfect size for the pupil. Use some water to attach all of these pieces together to form the eye. And then to make the reflection marks, I just made little balls of white fondant and tapped those to flatten them out and add those to the eyes. And then under that, I made 2 tiny little ovals of the white fondant and flattened those out, and this makes a really cute reflection mark. All Shopkins eyes are rimmed with black, so I just rolled out some really skinny logs of black fondant and used water to attach those around the eye. And I'm going to set these aside for a moment and we'll go back to working on our character. Lil Globe has these landforms on her with green. And they don't really have to be any specific shapes of continents, which makes this step really easy. I just have some light green fondant in a tipless piping bag with the ends snipped, and I'm gonna go around and make random shapes of this green color and use a small palette knife to try and level that out. I've got a lot of these green shapes on there now, but I want to make sure I have space for the face. So I'm going to go in with the eyes now. Using a little bit of water, I'm going to attach them where I want them. And I also made a very small half circle of the pink fondant because Lil Globe's character's mouth is open, and I'm going to attach that right underneath where the eyes are. And of course, I need to add the trademark Shopkins eyelashes. Now I'm going to finish off this face with eyebrows, a nose, the hands, but I'm going to do that later. Now that I know where the face is going to be, I can go ahead and continue making those green shapes. I colored some of my blue buttercream a deeper shade by adding some navy gel color to it, and I have this in a tipless piping bag. First, I'm snipping the piping bag very small, and I'm going to add eyebrows and a nose. To make the hands for Lil Globe, I have that same light blue buttercream that I used to ice the cake, and it's in a pastry bag fitted with a large round tip. This is a 1A by Wilton, and I'm just going to make two little hands on either side of her face. The bottom tier of this cake is an 8-inch round. I have my two 2-inch tall cakes leveled. I'm going to secure them to a cake board using a little bit of buttercream. On this tier, I'm using green buttercream, so I'm going to fill my cake and then add the top layer. I'm going to crumb coat my cake, but I want to make sure I have a full layer of buttercream on the top because we won't need to come back to this later. Go ahead and crumb coat the sides and smooth it out. Then smooth out the top. And then I'm just using my spatula to make a simple texture on top. Now I'm going to use a ruler and some toothpicks to make a little guide to mark the side of my cake for the leaves that we're going to add. I measured the side of the cake, and then I decided that 1 inch apart is a good measurement for the rows of leaves. So I'm going to take toothpicks and just tape them at 3 different 1-inch markings on my ruler. And then I can use this homemade tool to mark the side of my cake, and this is just going to be a guide to help make sure that the rows of leaves are nice and even. To make the leaves on the side of this cake, I'm using a large leaf tip. This is a 366 by Wilton. I have that fitted in a pastry bag. I'm going to stripe my bag with some lighter green and then go ahead and fill it with the darker green, and this is going to give our leaves a little bit of variation and gradient. Starting at the top so that the leaves can overlap as they go down, I'm going to go through and make a row of these large leaves all the way around using that mark that we made as a guide. Every few leaves, I'm going to rotate the bag so that they don't all look the same, and then that light buttercream that we put in there can be on different parts of the leaf, and it's just going to make it look more varied. When that first row is done, go ahead down to the second marking and make another row of leaves, this time making sure that they come up between the leaves above. This way all the spaces will be filled in. And continue doing this all the way down the cake, replacing the buttercream in your bag as needed, just making sure to stripe it first with that green color. Now the cake is done. I'm going to pop it in the refrigerator so it'll be nice and firm before putting it on a permanent cake board. Once the cake is cold, I'm transferring it to its permanent cake board using some buttercream as glue. And then I squeeze some of the extra buttercream from my leaf bag into another bag and tip off the end so it's nice and small. And I'm going to use this variated green to make just a simple rope border at the base of the cake, and this is going to hide the cake board underneath. This is a tiered cake, so we need to add our supports. I'm using bubble tea straws right in the center because it's a very small cake board from that top tier. They're going to be very close together. I snipped the opening for my dark blue buttercream bag a little bit bigger, and I'm going to make a large ring of this all around those bubble tea straws. Then add Lil Globe right in the center of that. It's going to kind of squish out and make a bottom border that will look like her feet. And to finish the feet for Lil Globe, I have my dark blue buttercream in a bag with that same 1/8 tip, and I'm just gonna make 2 little logs at the base of the cake, and these will be the feet. I also have some gum paste that I colored that darker blue. I'm gonna roll a log, form a U, and neaten the ends by trimming them, then insert toothpicks, and then I can insert this into the top of the cake. And that's it. This Lil Globe cake came out so cute for Earth Day. Thank you again to Green Solar Technologies for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to check them out in the link below and use the code Renee5Solar for a 500 cashback bonus. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new videos. And if you click the little bell icon, you can turn on post notifications to be notified every time I upload.